Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Brennan Bias from CheckIt.com and welcome to another very awesome and exciting Tutorial Tuesday. Now before I get into today's tutorial, I have one quick little thing that I need to discuss with you. So I know lately we've been asking you guys for likes on our videos and all that because, well, let's face it, we put a lot of work into these and, likes help us out and shows other people that our videos are worth watching. But to be completely honest, I don't like asking for likes because I feel like I'm begging, and it just feels bad. So this time around, I'm going to try and bribe you guys, alright? So here's the deal. If this video gets over 150 likes within the first 24 hours of its release date, I will give you guys the download link to this desktop wallpaper right here 100% free. And I know you guys have been wanting this because a lot of people have been asking me for it, but I've been reluctant to give it to you because, let's face it, it's freaking sexy. And I made it myself, and it's a one-of-a-kind thing, so why would I want to give it away? I mean, this makes me unique right here, this beautiful SOB. But yeah, that's the deal. If you guys like this video and we get 150 likes within 24 hours, you guys get this guy for free. So, that's the deal. Said and done. Let's get into the tutorial. Now, the tutorial for today is actually going to be really simple because, let's face it, last week we had a pretty long and hectic tutorial and it was just really complicated and all that. So this week we're going to tone it down a notch and we're going to make an effect that looks like this. So to be completely honest, I don't know what this is. It's just kind of a slight cartoony look on just an ordinary photo, and I don't know, I just kind of stumbled across it, messing with photos and stuff, so I decided, what the heck, I'll teach you guys how to do it too. So, let's go ahead and learn how to make this sucker. So, let's go to the photo that we want to use. In this case, it's just me just standing out in the middle of the street, and I got the nice blue sky behind me, and, just all this fun stuff going on, or not, I don't know. Anyway, so get a photo that you want to use, and we'll start off by going to the Image tab, going to Adjustments, and then going down to HDR Toning. Alright, so once you've got the HDR Toning thing up, just put it off to the side so that it's not in the way, and make sure you've got this Toning Curves and Histogram thing open for later. So, what we're going to do is change the preset to Flat. Alright, so it's going to flatten out the image. And we're going to change up some of these sliders over here. So let's go to the saturation. We'll bump that up to about 20, maybe 30%-ish area, and then we'll put down the vibrance to maybe the 15-20% area in the negatives there. Then we'll amp up the highlights, and we'll put down the shadows, so that way we're creating a little bit of a contrast going on here. And let's amp up the detail to about somewhere between 30 and 40%. And then we'll skip the exposure and the gamma because this picture is already plenty bright. But we'll go to the edge glow and amp up the radius to the maximum 500 pixels because this is a pretty big photo. And we'll put up the strength until we start seeing that glow going on around me, around the trees, and on on my skin and such. So let's just play with that a little bit, see what we can get going on over here. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. I got the strength at around 2.45 on that. And now let's go back down here to the histogram. And what we'll do with that is we'll bring down the shadows right around there to make everything a little bit darker. But we'll bring back up some of these lighter points to give it a little bit of a contrasted feel to it. We don't have to do that too much. Oops, get back. But we do want to have that kind of in there so that's still kind of bright, so make it maybe a slight S shape, maybe not because it's already a pretty bright picture. Just mess with that until you get something that you think looks pretty good. And once you do, you're just gonna hit OK, and that will take a moment to convert the HDR image. Alright, so now that that's done, we want to create another soft contrast on top of this. So to do that, we'll duplicate that background layer by hitting Control J or Command J if you happen to be on a Mac. And then let's just rename this to Soft Contrast just for kicks. And we're going to desaturate that by hitting Control Shift U or Command Shift U. And we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And then I'm going to put the radius to around 80 or 90 because this is a pretty big picture, and so that'll blur everything nicely together. And we'll hit OK. and then we'll change the blend mode of that to soft light. So if you do a little bit of a before and after, you do see a little bit of a soft contrast being added on top to everything. So to get that effect that you saw kind of in the background where you see that glow a little bit more on the sky and all that, we're going to add an adjustment layer. So go to your adjustments tab over here, and if you don't have that, just go to window adjustments to bring that up. And we're going to add a black and white adjustment layer. And so for the preset on this, just you can click on it, double click or whatever, and you can scroll through the presets. Come on, let me scroll through. It's not letting me. There we go. Maybe it'll let me. There we go. So just scroll through the presets until you get something that looks like it's kind of interesting. So the one I stopped on is this high contrast red filter, because with that you can start seeing that glow a little bit in the background. But we don't want this to be black and white, so what we'll do is actually change the blend mode of this black and white adjustment layer to multiply. So as you can see, that really darkens a lot of this stuff up, but that kind of helps with the overall effect when it comes to seeing that halo in the background, and it kind of gives everything an interesting feel to it. It's kind of gloomy, but everything's still got that brightness to it, so it's pretty interesting. Now if you want to, you can just stay here, call it good, and that's your effect. But if you want to, you can continue on and kind of add a bit of a cartoony look to this picture. So to do that, let's start off by making this t-shirt a little easier to see. So let's merge everything into a new layer. So to do that, just select the black and white adjustment layer so that you have the top layer selected, and use the shortcut Control Alt Shift E or Command Option Shift E for you Mac users out there, and that will merge everything into a new layer. So let's just go ahead and rename this to Sharpen, because that's what we're going to be doing to this shirt, is basically sharpening it, as well as everything else. So with the Sharpen layer selected, we'll go to Filter, Other, High Pass, and then for the radius, I'm going to keep it at 7 pixels because that's the radius that lets you see all of these fine details. So if I were to zoom in, well, you can use this little preview thing over here. If you zoom in, you can see that you see all those fine details that are going on in the shirt. And let's hit OK. And so with this sharpen layer, we're going to change the blend mode to vivid lights. And so a little bit of a before and after, you see that this really brings out all of those details in the shirt, and that gives it a slight cartoony look on top of that, because, I don't know, I guess cartoons are just, you know, sharp and not blurry, something along those lines. I don't know. It just makes it look a little cartoony, so why not? Okay, so now that that's done, let's go ahead and actually make the background look more cartoony as well. So once again, we'll do the Control Alt Shift E or Command Option Shift E to merge everything into a new layer. And let's rename this to Cartoon. Alright, so for this cartoon look, I actually used a plugin from Digital Anarchy called Tuneit. So this plugin is specifically for turning things into a cartoony look. Now, I'm assuming most of you don't have that, so if you don't, what I could suggest is going to the filter gallery, and then on this little drop down menu over here, you can use either cutout or poster edges. So let's just give you a quick look of what this looks like. So this is what poster edges does to your picture. So for this, I would recommend putting the edge thickness and edge intensity all the way down to 0, and then messing with the posterization to kind of get that, like, that choppy, like I made this in a cartoon drawing thing look. Now, other than that, you could actually go back to cutout. Everything's in alphabetical order, so it makes it easy to go through. Now, as soon as this updates, come on, finish loading. I know you want to. There we go. So this is the look that cutout gives to the effect. Now, I actually like cutout a little bit better. Now, for this, I would recommend putting the number of levels all the way up to 8 and the edge simplicity down to 0, and then mess around with the edge fidelity and all that and just kind of see what goes on. So you can use, you know, one or the other, or maybe try and combine the two somehow, but I'm going to show you what it looks like when I use this plugin. Alright, so here we go. We got this plugin. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. So the preset that I worked off is called Comic Soft. So I give that a double click, and it adds in this look for me. Now what I like to do is I like to turn down the radius on the main blur to maybe around 2, and then I like putting the threshold down to somewhere in the 10 to 12 range around there. And then I like going over to the shadow and color, and I turn up the blend with original between like 40 and 50, so that way it kind of combines the cartoon look with the original image. And if you want to, you can start messing with other settings as well, like the simplicity. Let's see what happens when you turn that down. What happens? Oh, that's kind of cool. Anyway, so you can just mess with settings and see if you can get something that looks alright. And another thing you could do is turn on the use shadows to add in some of these random splotches here and there. But if you do that, I personally would want to put down the threshold so that way it's not quite so overwhelming, but you still get some of those shadows like in the trees and things of that sort to kind of help with the overall effect. So mess with that, see if you get something that you like, and once you get to, you know, that point, just go ahead and hit OK. And TuneIt is actually a pretty complicated filter to apply. So even with my 12 gigabytes of RAM that I've got in and, you know, recording HD footage, this takes a little bit of time to do. So if you do get TuneIt and you start doing this and it takes forever, don't worry. It's pretty normal. It's a pretty complicated filter for, you know, one reason or another. Doesn't really make any sense. But when it's done, it looks pretty good. So let's just go ahead and full screen this just to see what we got going on. Beautiful. Alright, so that's about all there is to this effect. I went through it a little bit fast, but I think it was kind of necessary because, I don't know, I don't like taking a lot of time on really simple projects, and this still ended up kind of long for one reason or another, but in the end, I still think it turns out to be a pretty interesting effect. So, having said all this and, you know, gone through the tutorial, I hope you learned something new from this effect, and hopefully it turns out good on your photos too. I really have no idea what to expect from other photos since I didn't really do a whole lot of testing, but if it looks good, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below, give me your opinion on things, and maybe give me some ideas for future tutorials because, let's face it, I'm one guy, I can't come up with everything on my own every day, so let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like this video, all that good stuff. Leave me some love. Oh gosh, I'm making a fool of myself now, so I'm just going to shut up, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.